Hello, and welcome to the Blackcrow Gaming Podcast. And tonight I am joined by the one, the only, my wonderful co-host that can't seem to keep his top on, Toby. Give us a wave, Toby.
Oh, wait, sorry, no, that's just for the BCG only fans. Yep. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. And tonight, a first on our podcast, he is a Blackcrow Gaming member. He is loyal. He's been with us for a while now, and he's been coming to lots of events with us. We know him as Sam, but you guys might know him as Worldy as Sam. Sam, give us a wave.
Ew.
Come on, Sam. A little bit more. We can.
He's getting into the spirit. Yes.
What do you want from me? More energy, less energy.
Whichever you can give me. Anyway,
perfect start.
Tonight we have quite a big plan. As you can see from our title, we are going to be doing a tier review. This is going to be a tier review based on absolutely zero data because the data slate has come out. The field manual has come out, and until these models get on the table, we have absolutely no idea of what's going to happen. So, but what we do know, people, what we do know is that we at Blackcrow Gaming have opinions, and our opinions matter.
We'll see about that. We will see. I'm excited to be proven incredibly wrong in like a week or two.
I had Darren Chapman drop me a text just being like, "Oh, so you're doing a tier review tonight? That's brave." And it's like, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, we're going to give some hot takes, like absolutely scalding hot takes.
But so, let's be honest. We are basing this off what we know about the meta at the moment. How we know the rules have changed. We're basing this off our experience in tournaments. We've been to a lot of them. But before we go into any of this, before we do anything, I need you people to do me and Toby and now Sam a favor. I need you to hit those magical YouTube buttons. I need you to like. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe and hit that lovely bell notification every time so that you know. Not Toby's bell, my bell, the YouTube bell, so that you know every single time when we go live and when we've got something coming up. Because, we enjoy, and without you guys, we're not here. We don't come here. Anyway.
So just to recap, guys, touch Aaron's bell and then he'll come here.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better than myself.
Oh dear.
Takeaway from that conversation.
So
which
basically,
is also the new BCG OnlyFans available at
no,
Chris's
right.
OnlyFans these days is.
But moving away from that, we also have some wonderful sponsors, and two of them you can see that are displayed on our screen right now. We've got Glasshammer and Terrain Forge. Glasshammer provide excellent models, as you would have seen on our socials recently. Toby got a lovely Predator from Glasshammer, but if you put in the Blackcrow Gaming code, I'm so distracted by it, Toby. The Blackcrow Gaming code, you get 5% off your whatever you order from Glasshammer. So they're already one of the cheapest Warhammer suppliers in the market. That extra 5% is just a sweet spot, gets it a little bit lower for you, and obviously it helps us out at Blackcrow. The next one we've got is Terrain Forge. Terrain Forge, they make fantastic bespoke terrain. We've got our very own Blackcrow terrain, which we use in all of our battle reports. They've also made maps, which really, unfortunately for their mats, are now out of date because Games Workshop decided to drop on us an absolute bomb recently and give us all new data, all new gaming cards. However, they still do amazing terrain. So if you put the BCG5 in the code for Terrain Forge, you'll get 5% off whatever you order from Terrain Forge as well. So don't be shy, guys. Give both of those a view, and hopefully you can enjoy what they've got to offer. But anyway, we're here. We're ready. Let's get into the tier review. And we got a new screen. Right. Excellent. So we're into the tier review screen and the display captures right there. So, and as you can see, we've got lots of different factions represented here. Some of those factions we will not use. And the reason that is because there's absolutely no point in us doing Iron Hands, Ultramarines, Imperial Fists. So just for ease, Ultramarines will be the vanilla Space Marine Codex. That won't be including Black Templars. That won't be including Dark Angels. That won't be including Blood Angels. Likewise for the chaos side of it, it'll just be CSM. And then obviously if they've got a standalone codex like Death Guard, like Thousand Suns, we will do something different for them. Okay? So, gents, are you ready to tier review?
I am absolutely there for it.
Toby looks so excited. It's because I've banned him, chat, from building his model whilst we do this. Because I want him to focus on you.
I'm waiting.
Waiting for the attention to be off him.
The ADHD is just like going like it's there in front of you. It's there in front of you.
Maybe you should have moved it away from you then, and then you would have forgotten it exists.
I wouldn't know. That's not how it works, Sam.
That's how my ADHD works. Outside, out of mind.
Toby's on a ban. No, Toby. You're a bad Toby.
Usually I have to pay for people to tell me that.
Oh, God. Anyway, right, into the tier review. So, the first on our list to talk about tonight, gents, is the one and only... Ooh, why has that gone like that? Anyway, is Adeptus Custodes. So, obviously, they've had a bit of a glow up. They've had a bit of a change. A couple of their detachments have been really changed. I like the fact that they did these changes to detachments, but Games Workshop and the data slate basically ignored the normal maiden detachment because it is just that terrible. They were like, there's no way we can fix this.
Or they actually think it's fine and you should try it. That's right. They probably had no data on it, so
literally no one's played that faction at all.
The worst ones, they probably didn't see any change because they were so low quality that they don't have the data to do it. And it's like, well, you can't just like piss in the wind because you might accidentally completely ruin the meta. So.
Oh, Toby's gone, hasn't he, Sam?
On. Sorry, my Wi-Fi went for a second there. Do apologise about that. But yeah, like you can't just with no data, you can't just make a snap judgment call. It's why Necrons were.
I mean,
as good as they were. You can.
They don't, but you. I think there's. If there's no data on something, I think that says a lot about it. But you're right. It's you can't just make changes without thinking about it. But the whole point is now they have like play testers and stuff. You'd think that they would be able to do it, but there's a lot of changes they've just done. So benefit of the doubt on time, I guess. Least important ones are the ones that nobody cares about already.
Yeah, well, I think this is as long as each faction has a playable faction. At least one or two good detachments.
Yeah.
And there's not just like an auto pick, which I'm sure we'll come on to in a bit in terms of things like
plenty of auto picks.
So let's get back to the Adeptus Custodes side of things, so we don't go too far away because we've got a lot of factions to get through, gents. 20-something odd factions. So Adeptus Custodes, they had a bit of a buff. Shield Host got made much better. Shield Host is now probably one of the most killiest combat armies in the game. Orc Champions got better, and Talons of the Emperor kind of just stayed the same. But some of the big changes that happened to Adeptus Custodes was that their jump pack infantry went from being 200 points down to 165 points, which is a huge drop in points. Like for a unit to just drop that many points, and then another unit that dropped absolutely loads of points. The pyro spears, pyro spears, and the adrasite spears, they dropped 50 points, which is big drops. And some people were using Venatari already, and then all of a sudden, just like overnight, they gained like 90 points.
The Venatari also dodged the strat duplication nerf because theirs specifies rapid ingress, so you can still rapid ingress 2 of them in for free, which is pretty insane.
You can do all 3, can't you?
Can you do all 3? I thought
there's no cap on how many times you can do it.
Okay,
so you can do them.
That's even more ridiculous then.
So you could do 1. You pay for 1, which you bring in, and then you can do those 3 for free. So you technically can rapid ingress 4 units in one go.
Yeah, at that point, with Custodes, 4 units of Custodes off the board for potentially 2 turns might be a bit much. But
yeah, exactly. The most you're just going to have 2 units off. I think because of the way Shield Host has changed, the way that now they have either critting on 5 and 6s in every battle round or +1 AP in every battle round. You pretty much always go critting 5 and 6, critting in combat for 5 and 6s every battle round. Custodians
do they have a lot of access to sustained and lethals then, or?
Yeah, because of Martial Qatar, they can pick either sustained or they can pick all
because it's on top of those. Yeah, sorry.
So basically, for their Martial Qatar, they are always getting sustained or lethals on 5 or 6s because you just basically pick that battle round every turn. So if you go in combat with them and you don't kill them, one guy who gets 5 attacks with his Strength 7 AP 2 damage spear on average, could pop off and have like 9 attacks or 10 attacks or 8 extra attacks. It could be wild of the potential. And I think from combat perspective, they're really up there. The way
do they have any fight first?
They have no. The only fight first is a layer, and she offers that with a whatever unit she's attached to, and that's with the sisters. And some sisters that is okay, but it's just one unit. So they do lack fight first, but they typically can survive a combat.
Yeah, I mean, well, you'd hope so with custodians, but it all depends. I was just thinking about like your combat matchup might not necessarily be that favorable for them if they've not got that many combat tricks. But I haven't looked too in depth for all the strats.
Well, they can fall back and charge. They can -1 to hit. They have all of these abilities. They can also, in shooting, they can give themselves sustained or lethals. They can sticky objectives. They can add, if you wound them or if you kill some units, part of the unit, they can add more attacks. They have some useful stratagems in there that make them better. I think the overall, they're either going to be a solid B or actually they may tip into A tier.
So the thing that I think we've not discussed about anything yet is the fact that new missions and it seems very it's harder to score secondaries and there's a lot more actions involved in some primary missions and some things. So I think they've got some good battle line units. I know that, so that could potentially be huge if that becomes standard, those particular mission rules. But do they have enough chaff to be doing actions? Because they won't be able to do any. Because they're not. There's nothing that lets you action and still do everything that you want to do, like charge and stuff. As far as I'm aware, for battle line.
No.
So that's the one downside I think of potential custodians, because they are a very elite army.
Yeah, I do think they do lack the amount of units they're going to need. I think that potentially they might be able to ally in some units like Voidsmen, or maybe less so.
Sisters, the science
sisters aren't battle line anymore.
No, but they're not awful little action monkeys and stuff. We'll see if the battle line matters. I mean, they've kind of got the battle line stuff. Like their guard, right?
So the only other thing for me is that they don't have any infiltrate, and I think that's going to be huge because infiltrate.
Assassin, I guess.
Yeah, you take a Calidus or potentially. It's difficult at that point. But yeah, there's one model of infiltrate or no models of infiltrate in the army, which I think might competitively hold it back a little bit. I mean, they're going to tear through screens, but once they've torn through that screen, can they survive the crackback? So I think B tier is probably top of B tier.
It's definitely at least top of B tier. Well, I mean, here's the thing: it's really hard to put the first one down because realistically, you want to compare them.
So we will probably later shift some around.
Readjust, yeah, definitely.
So I think because of the way the meta is shifting, and the fact that there's going to be more infantry based armies, that's where Adeptus Custodes tend to shine. Because they can kill units quite easily with their shooting, because a lot of people disregard their shooting, and actually it can be quite potent, especially with the shooting twice and so on. But then they're able to kill a unit and then consolidate into another unit, that can also be very useful. I'm happy to put them in B tier for now, but I think
there's a
going
good chance they might creep up into A later.
Yeah.
I think if we start with them in B, we've probably got a good baseline there.
So the next one we're going to look at is Chaos Knights. So Chaos Knight changes. Who wants to talk to me through the Chaos Knights?
I mean, Chaos Knights didn't get much changed with regards to the rules. The big knights got a little bit cheaper. They got an ability to go through walls like the big knights, which might be really nice for them, but they already had a way of doing that. It means they can do more. You could put 2 war dogs through a wall and put a big knight through it with risk of battle shock, but like that's a bigger impact for the Imperial Knights, isn't it? And the big knights potentially might have play, but because of the action stuff, but it's kind of hard to tell comparative to loads of war dog battle line. I feel like Chaos Knights just stick with a similar style, and they got hurt with the fact that Nurglings can't do actions.
Yeah. I think that was a bit of a nerf to them, actually.
Yeah, ban Nurglings.
Yeah, ban Nurglings.
Finally snuck it onto the podcast. But yeah, I think they're. I don't think they're a bad army. I don't think they're an amazing army. I think they're quite a solid, standard stat checky army. If you can deal with the stat check, you'll beat them. If you can't, you'll lose.
I think they belong potentially in C tier.
I think so too. I think that's where I would have them, because they're fine, but they're kind of still a one-trick pony. And I think people kind of know how to beat them now. And if the meta is shifting towards a more combat-focused meta, that's really where they're going to start struggling as well, because they don't have an invuln to combat. So that could really sting them.
Yeah. Although if we start moving towards an infantry focus meta, then they might be an outlier in that, and people might not be as tooled to beat them.
It's
one of those things of you need to know what the meta is going to be like. We need to know what the meta is going to be like.
Yeah, we can't base it off the tournament we're going to next.
If everyone suddenly turns up with it's all gladiator reapers rather than gladiator lancers, then yeah, sure. I don't
see that happening.
No, I think what's going to happen is that there will be enough solid 3 damage shooting or combat with a high strength to deal with elite infantry, that it will splash and damage Chaos Knights still. And actually, I think the nerf to tank shock will also hurt them, because they're big knights. Cerastus Lancer.
Yeah, but their little knights got better at it. As in, the brigands can now tank shock.
Yeah, so I would honestly, I would say that I would massively prefer to have those slaughter claws tank shocking more efficiently than a brigand doing 3 mortal wounds in combat.
Yeah, but I mean, it's 4, but
it's like 3.1.
Oh no, sorry, they're not. I've had them as tough as 12 in my head for them.
No, they're tough as 10. Yeah. Toughness 12 war dogs would be scary. That would be scary.
But to beat here, I've said they're toughness 12. But yeah, I mean, I think you guys are right. Like it is one of those things where they are very much a one-trick pony, and if you can deal with them, I think most armies have a way of dealing with them. It's just if you've not thought about the idea of playing against them when building your list, or you're inexperienced into them, because they do have some tricks. And they can get on top of you and kill you quite quickly.
Yeah, those melters can just screw you over. So yeah, they'll probably be winning RTTs, but I don't think they'll be winning GTs.
So the next on the list, guys, is the Adeptus Mechanicus. Now they saw some love. Like they had a lot of changes, right? Like a lot of changes. I'm probably not the best to talk about them, because I saw all of that and was just like, oh my days.
I read the changes. I couldn't tell you. I'll be honest.
So I think they're going to be good. I think their core followers are going to be sticking with them, and they're going to be thrilled, and they'll be doing better at tournaments. However, I think we're going to have to dip into real world problems for this one, and that's that AdMech are prohibitively costed. They are hugely expensive in terms of actual money. So in a luxury hobby, they are the I don't know.
I mean, they did put them up in points, so they're not quite as hoardy.
all right, yeah, sure.
It only costs you 1,800 instead of 2,000 now to buy them.
Sure.
But the guys out there who were running, say, Horde mech, with the 120 or whatever it was, Scutari basically, and one of them is in chat. I know who you are, Harley. I remember seeing you literally just doing this at one of the tournaments and just piling them into whatever you've got going. And I think AdMech, people who are AdMech players are extremely excited and all of a sudden extremely vocal about how good they think this army's gotten.
Which bodes well for them because they would know.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think this is the thing. Yeah, sure. AdMech are going to be great. I think when you come up against someone like Johnny Simmons, or sort of similar players of that caliber, you're in for a real fight. But I don't think we're going to see them as much at tournaments still, just because of that.
They'll be rare, but I think they'll be on the higher end of the events. Not
I think
like the opposite of what we've been seeing. I would put them up in A.
Yeah, I agree.
I think so. From what I've inferred from reading it and what I've heard from the rumblings on the internet, I guess it sounds like they're going to be strong. So I think it's a good place to put them as A. They might not be top of A, but I think we're going to see them, regularly being 3-2, 4-1, and potentially,
I mean,
even pre this, they got tournament wins. They had big event wins. The players that play them are dedicated and skillful, and I have a cat climbing the top of my chair.
Yeah, I do. I mean, that's adorable, but B, I think it's going to be a real mix of high flyers and then people maybe not getting the most out of them. Where they've gone, I love AdMech, the steampunk vibes, yay! So they'll get the army and potentially underperform with it. So yeah, I think an interesting one to watch. A tier, maybe.
Definitely top B, but I think low A.
My gut would say high B, yeah, but I have been outvoted.
So
we're going to move all these around.
Sisters of Battle.
Put them in S and just move on.
I don't think they're going to be
S. If we base Sisters of Battle purely on their rules alone, they go up here.
Yeah, easy. Like they have I think they have multiple of the best detachments in the game right now. Like 100%. They have so much good choice to choose from.
Based on the points though, how much is that going to dent them in S tier? The thing is, the points have gone up, yes, but like Harley's just put in chat, they are highly costed, and
this is going to happen a lot. This is annoying.
They are still T3. They're still 1 wound, and so they're going to be a bit of a glass cannon, I think. And I wonder if actually they're truly going to represent here.
I think it's going to be an interesting one. So obviously they as index, they were probably one of the highest flyers. They were a bit of a sleeper, but they did very well in the hands of people like Vic.
They gained a lot of points. I was ready to be like S immediately, but then they gained so many points. It was like an army that list that people were writing before the points changes was like
going up to 300
2,300, 2,400. It's just silly.
Yeah, so I think that's one that's actually going to be really hard to say right now. Let's put them in A, and
I think A is where it's going to be. Like maybe we'll get proven wrong, and people will make some amazing lists. But I think that they were clearly going to be S, and then they properly hit them hard with the points. So which makes it a more interesting situation, I think.
What I would wonder though is if they're going in A, what is going to qualify for S? But we'll come to that later.
So this is where we might move things up. So the next we've got is CSM. Now, I think CSM have got a solid codex from what we've
Yeah.
seen. They're just
Yeah,
solid.
definitely.
And I think actually they will probably sit in A, but I think they also may go up into S. I think their
Yeah.
codex is
It's-
extremely solid.
it's worth saying that the way that people were playing them has just had a massive indirect nerf in the you can't advance and do actions if you've got assault anymore, because
that's what they were doing with the legionnaires, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was doing Firestorm but a lot better, and that they still have the best shooting options, I think, out of the full assault armies, and I think they've also got some really interesting options in terms of vehicle spams.
I think they have quite a lot of depth in there. I think there's like quite a few
100%.
different ways of playing the game, like entirely, like multiple army lists that
Yeah.
barely share any units that are both strong. So it's this is really hard because it's like we've literally no data. But I do think that there's an S build in CSM. I don't know what it is though, and that's
so. I'm going to throw a bit of a counter in there and say one of the best CSM players that we know, and he's been at top of CSM for a long old time, is Don Maidlow, and I know that he's not playing them at the moment. He's going to be going on to a different Chaos faction, which I'll talk about in a bit. So I think that might indicate that they're actually going to be A tier. If someone of that caliber is turning their back on them.
Yeah, but there's playstyle reasons for that. Sometimes, some people don't, because I think
it's not always based on the person. We shouldn't. It's not really about names. It's about
also there's a lot of people that might continue to play.
Oh no, totally. No, I think they will. Just that's the only data I've got that someone, like a player of that caliber has gone. I'm gonna look at this other army,
but I might say more about the other army.
Oh, I think it does. And we will come on to that later. Yeah. I'm trying to see where we're going to come on to that.
Yeah, it will be there.
I can't see it on the.
I think it's roughly alphabetical, right? So we're.
Next we've got Astra Militarum. I think they've taken some nerfs, but I think the tank build is still relevant with Lehman Russes.
Yeah, the Lehman Russ build is definitely still relevant, but they did. I think one of the hardest hit of this Slate from like the rules changes perspective.
I think they're gonna live in C. Personally, D.
I'd be tempted. So, like, if we're looking at what the current way that they play the game, like the popular, Manticores and Kazakin reviving, and 3-stratting a 2 CP strat to give everything extra AP. All of these ways that they played the game have just gotten worse, or just no longer really usable. Yeah, so I think that there might be something there. They've also changed the way that their army rule works, which I think really should be changing the way that you look at writing an army list with the army. So I think that there might be something there, but at the moment it looks pretty dire for.
So are we sticking them in D, or are we going in C?
I think they might be. Yeah, D at the moment until someone finds something.
To clarify them as D, I think just as a bit of a way marker of what we think is going to be underperforming. But again, that might also be partly because we saw Astra Militarum doing so well and still being a reasonably poor win percentage, because they have that real mix of players. Like some were the tippy toppy Admech players were playing. Manticore spam, basilisks, and then the really nasty Kazakin stuff. But then lower down the tiers, you would have people bringing a lot of guard armies for a laugh, which is why there's the famous photo of David Gaylord with the fair and balanced 40% win rate or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a very
won a tournament with it.
Yeah, just after he'd won Beachhead, I think it was a sort of one of the very major tournaments. I think he beat Ed Watts in the finals. Ed's obviously just been in another final, so clearly pretty good player. But yeah, I think it is.
Don't think we'll see him playing it.
No,
this entire era.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see anyone like that playing it. So, and for the most part, the die-hard Admech players,
not Admech.
Oh, sorry, not Admech. The die-hard Astra Militarum players, tend to be a little bit more focused on how like cool tank spam, that kind of thing. Lesser those.
I mean, I still think Russes can do well in the mid boards, like just like Russ spam, but it's not going to win a tournament. I don't think. Not a big one anyway. Maybe some small local ones, but it's once again going back to stat checky.
One of the chaps that that I'm quite friendly with at tournaments from the Warwick team. James Colley, he plays a lot of tank spam, and at least last time he really wasn't thrilled how it was doing. He was like, this, it's clearly not the best list, but that was pre data slate, so hopefully I'll get a chance to catch up with him soon, and maybe because I think in terms of those die-hard Admech players that go for those top scoring positions, James is definitely one of them. So it would be interesting to see what his sort of hot take is on it.
So we're going to move on. The next one, and someone in the chat has already said
straight to us. This is what I think is the best
army in the game.
Currently in the game, like they didn't get touched at all and were one of the best before, and everyone's taken hits in a lot of different ways, and they got better. Like, the strat stuff means that they can be more finicky with strats. They weren't doubling up things very often anyway, but they were using very expensive stratagems, having to save 4 CP for like a charge and fight phase, like heroic and fight on death and things like that. And yet now that potentially put captains in places and things like that, you're going to get potential cheaper strats. So
absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I think everybody's in agreement that these are S. The chat are saying S.
I'm not excited about this as a World Eater player because Blood Angels were my worst matchup before, and that has continued, but they will be getting more popular.
The Sanguinius is going to be out strong.
Well, that's the thing, is they don't even need to play Sons of Sanguinius as well. They can play Gladius, they can play Stormlance. They're all variations of good for the Blood Angels, I think. So I don't think there's an argument for them to be. If there's any army out there that is just solidly in S tier right now, it's the Blood Angels. I just don't understand how they managed to dodge it, because they've even got like the Redeemers went up, but the Battle Predators absolutely fine. Like flaming Overwatch is so frustrating.
Yeah, Predators were one of those ones that didn't get touched really at all, which again was the Chaos one. Yeah, Chaos did, which I think is fair, but then like Death Guard have always got at least 2. Space Marines, I mean, I know Ironstorm took a big old punch, and we'll talk about that. But like, yeah,
you're building a Predator right now.
I know I'm building a Predator right now. No, it's because I'm going to use it. Shock Horror, it's in my list for the weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I think Predator's not getting touched is interesting. But yeah, I think that will contribute to some Sons of Sanguinius being classy. I really
also
like that.
Blood Angels are just cool. They're just cool.
Yeah.
And so is the next one we're going to talk about as well. And another one who I don't think at S tier. I don't think they're B tier. I think they belong in A tier. I think it's Black Templars. A lot of Black Templar players are still excited about playing Black Templars. And, for me, I think Sword Brethren are one of the coolest units in the game. Dark Angels have another unit that's very similar in what they do.
Put them away.
But what do you guys think? Where do you think Black Templars live? Chat, where do you think Black Templars live? Well, where
I don't
help us decide.
Black Templars are interesting because they're another sort of combat-y Space Marine army, but they were the majority of what big Black Templar list was like to do with the tanks, and they can't take the normal tanks anymore. Which is interesting. So they have to take the upgraded version, which also removes that flexibility of list building, of going, I've got an extra 10 points, let me just stick a multi-mounter on something. So they lost that, which is, it also stops the 6 gladiator reapers or whatever lists.
No more spam, I'm afraid, guys.
No, you can only take 9 gladiators total if you want to, 3 of each. Like, I don't think you needed to take more than 3 of any type anyway, but that's just me. Teams is different because you can skew a lot more in teams, but for solo I just don't see it. I don't know. I think Space Marines in general like I think there's probably some cool Black Templar lists in there, but I don't think the Space Marine list, like the Ironstorm Black Templar list, is as good as it was before.
I think bottom of A.
I think they're going to see a bit of an adjustment in terms of how they play. I think Chaplain Grimaldus might be a pretty important unit to if Black Templars are worth doing, and if Crusaders, if the Crusader blobs are good, then they'll sit in A. If the Crusader blobs are not good, I think they might end up going down to B. But I think that really is a time will tell on that one.
I think bottom of A, top of B, good place to be.
Yeah.
I think
there's a lot. I think it's going to be a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of armies sitting in A, and this is where we're going to get a little bit more. We'll scrutinize a little bit more.
Yeah, we might drop some down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So the next ones, we're not going to do that one because that comes under that. I don't think their detachment.
Something of bile. No,
that's not even been done
Oh,
yet.
Creations of Bile.
Of Bile. Yeah, they
anyway, it's not.
So the next one we're going to do is Dark Angels, and we're not going to base Dark Angels solely off the fact that they can do the generic Space Marine stuff. We'll have a look at what they can actually do as Dark Angels as well. And because I think if you when you take that into account, it drops them down somewhat. But Toby, you've got Dark Angels very close to your heart. We're going to let you kind of talk where you think they sit in this tier review, and then me and Sam will kind of give you our opinions. So go for it.
Okay, so I'll caveat this by starting that I think Dark Angels was sitting at about a 34% win rate pre-Slate, and they weren't good.
Is that even with the Iron ones? Or?
Yeah, that's even with the Ironstorm one.
Okay.
It was really not good for a while.
It wasn't really Dark Angels though, was it? It was Azrael.
No. It was Azrael and a Dark Shroud. Interesting, the Dark Shroud was in red, like its points were in red, but it didn't go up. So not sure what happened there. Yeah, I think they considered putting it up and then didn't.
I reckon they did it to mess with your head, Toby. But I don't think you actually played a Dark Shroud anyway.
No, I don't play Dark Shrouds. I'm not a huge fan of them. But I think the changes to the Dark Angels specific units in Deathwing Knights and Inner Circle Companions makes them absolutely class. So Deathwing Knights in particular, I think, are going to be very interesting. The maces now being anti-monster and anti-vehicle 4, really cool. And the swords going up to 2 damage, really solid. The Inner Circle champs just turn things into mincemeat as well. They do have the problem with survivability, but now that impulsors can take 7 guys, really, really good. And then take into account that their detachment, the Inner Circle detachment improved. There's play there. There's definitely play there. And the other one is that the Lion can now breach. Bless you.
Do you think we'll actually see Lion play?
No, not at 300 points.
Maybe in some like mid tables or bottoms.
Yeah,
because people want to bring him.
100%. Like you can now bring the Lion and not feel ashamed. I think is
where do we think they're going to go?
The infantry that he buffs off.
It's last little point before I say is that they're, because of the changes to Mortal Wounds as well, Watchers in the Dark got a lot more relevant again. So Dev Wounds now being able to go, cool, I've got a 4+ with my Deathwing Knights for a turn. Or
is
others.
Is that a whole phase then, or just
it's a one shot for a phase.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And you get that on Azrael, you get it on all the Deathwing Knights, you get it on the Deathwing Terminators. I don't think we'll see Terminators still though. But it's really quite solid. My gut says they're going to be top of B. There's real potential there, but I don't think they're going to get much higher than B. I've not rushed to build an Inner Circle list. There's a couple of situations where possibly Unforgiven become somehow good if Tyranids become the meta.
Then choose not to battle shock them.
Oh, well, exactly. It's like you force them to not battle shock you, which I feel like then you're going, cool, well, some of your rules don't count anymore, which is nice.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
it's a really weird one.
Interaction that's going to be a...
No,
I think they're probably... I agree. I think they're B. I don't know if they're top of B. I think it's very much situational, player-based dependent. But then I also there is an argument to put them into A if you look at like some of the other detachments they can go into. But I think what you said, Toby, is actually quite reasonable. I think I agree. I think B. I'm very much interested in the next one because we have quite a few guys in the blackcrow team who are big fans of Death Guard, and I like them. Death Guard are in a good place for the meta if it shifts the way it does, because they have a lot of fight first.
It's got some rough nerfs in there though, as in the way they currently build. It's not a huge amount of points up, but it is increasing points. And the grenade dude whose name I'll never remember is he got a nerf as well, because you can't grenade twice in the same turn. He doesn't have the clause anymore that says if you've already done it. So you get a grenade for free, yes, but only once per game per character, and you can't grenade at the same time at that same turn, which just
also
and I think he went up in points, which is just crazy.
Their tank got worse as well, though, didn't it? The mortar fire.
The Plague Burst Crawler. Yeah, but I honestly
people
don't
would stop taking those anyway. I think
exactly. If you look at people like Ranchin Lee, who sort of rocketed up the Death Guard tables, he's dropped Plague Burst Crawlers. I think I don't rate Plague Burst Crawlers full stop. I've never felt threatened by them, and now that they've been nerfed, I really hope that Custodes players just drop them. Nurglings being hit, I think
Death Guard players, Toby.
Yeah, sorry, you're mixing up all the factions. You said Custodes.
Oh, it's been a long day. It's been a long day. Sorry. Been a long one. But I think their Predator's staying at 130 points with the dirt that they can pull with them.
Yeah.
Really good. That autocannon is kept in check because it's not very good at killing things with good armor saves. Death Guard are extremely good on making your armor save a bit crap. So I really like them. I'm trying to think if there's any if Admech are going to be A tier. Then Death Guard, yes, because they're hitting on 4s, aren't they? They're still hitting on 4s. I know there's ways to get them hitting on 3s, but they're a BS4 army, and so I think they're good. There's definitely some play there. I really like Death Guard. I think they're going to be brilliant. I don't think they're S tier, but I think they will probably be A tier.
Really, I was thinking B. But...
I was thinking B. I was thinking
B, then.
I was thinking around here.
Yeah, I think they're probably, because of just the amount of fights first and efficient damage 3. I think they're either tippy top of B tier or bottom of A.
I suppose they are quite good into the infantry builds more so.
So this is where I might do a change then, actually, because I think if we're going to do it like that, I think actually this happens.
Yeah, to be fair, I would have put Black Templars in B anyway. So
I
think that happens, and I think also if that's the case, I mean, we've got the next list is
Death Watch.
Death Watch.
They can go in D.
Yeah,
they're still pants.
Okay, move on. That's about as much time as GW seems to take on their balance changes. So
it's because they're going to be in the
point changes very quickly.
They're going to be in the new redacted codex, the Inquisitorial agents. Yeah, they've got to be. And I think they're going to
even
be
what
really
that
cool
is.
in that. I cannot wait. That's going to be awesome.
That's going to be a cool codex. The next one is interesting. So I've played Grey Knights recently. The Dread Knights are still a thing. The
Went up,
armies are still good. Do I think they are A or S tier? No. Do I think they're B? I think they're maybe the bottom of B.
I think they're in B. I think they sit quite middling in B because I would have put them in A if it wasn't for like the points changes that they got. And I think it just knocks them down because I think they've got a high skill cap army, and that always means like lets like if assuming a player very very good player with the army, I think that they can be really strong. I think that they got hit quite nastily with the strongest build being Redeemers and Dread Knights. So, and also a funny one that's a really random interaction, but the Nids getting extra strength really ruins those Dread Knights.
Yes, it does.
I mean, we'll get onto Nids later, but I just found that funny of like, what's the difference between strength 8 and 9? Dread Knights.
A lot, yeah. I'll be honest.
I mean, being toughness 8 Dread Knights, right? Like Toby, as soon as you melted them, we talked about this.
Yeah, no,
and
I
this
know.
is why custodes, like with their melters, and like some of the other bits that they like that the custodes can do, like they just stat check Grey Knights really hard. And so if custodes are near the top of B, Grey Knights will be towards the bottom.
Yeah, I think they're in there somewhere.
Because the armies that stat check Adeptus Custodes, as in these ones at the top here, will do it even worse to Grey Knights.
Drago got better with the. I think it's Drago that has the mortal wound, Fiona Pain related stuff.
Yeah,
and so obviously that affects devastating wounds. I don't like. Armies that are that mobile always scare me. So like if played well, they're very.
To be fair though, that's a really good point.
Armies.
So one thing the person I played with, who I played recently, one thing he was really good at is kind of like moving the army around and able to avoid. So actually, I said that earlier that the like stat checky was Adeptus Custodes, but actually I really struggled to get to them.
Yeah, as playing them as a melee army, I'm like, World Eaters are one of the fastest melee armies in the game, and they can't catch Grey Knights.
No.
Yeah,
and
so
they've got access
maybe...
to fight first as well, which I'm like, okay, it's 2 up, 4 up body, fights first option for it, re-rolling wound, with the Master of Execution's ability.
I think they go up actually. I mean, some people said they're too expensive C, but actually,
I think B is a good place for them.
I think they're mid B. I'd say they're better than Dark Angels. I think they're probably going to be around the same as Black Templars. They are too expensive. They're infantry.
This being said, a person that doesn't know what they're doing with them is going to get destroyed.
This is true.
I know, but it's a very unforgiving army. You make one mistake and you've just lost. And yes, that is the case with a lot of armies, but it's hard to play that army, and if you mess it up, we're looking at it from a good player playing it. So
yeah, we are looking at someone turning up to a tournament with this, and I think they mid B. Around the same point as Black Templars.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I think as well because they just don't have the same level of tech as some of the armies above them, as well.
No, they've not got the roster.
The same thing Adeptus Custodes struggle with. We have like a very limited roster.
It's small elite armies.
So right here we go. GSC.
Fuck nice.
I think. Just off the bat, off feeling mostly alone, C.
Yeah,
because I think everything I said about the Grey Knights, they also suffer from. Maybe a little bit more forgiving, but they just don't seem to do enough. A lot of the changes, it almost feels like they got less potent. They might get more. They're more tricky, but they've got more variability now. You're not just playing the same opponent every time, same army every time you play against them, but I don't think it's helped them that much.
Muscle Beach getting nerfed as kind of hard as it did, I think probably correct, because that was stopping them becoming good
that
in
might still
general.
be one of the best like lists for them, and that says a
Agreed.
lot, I think.
Agreed, for sure. Because like when we were looking at it and we're going, holy crap, Muscle Beach is going to be like the best thing, because we thought it was still 4 up, feel no pain, and 3 damage. Then suddenly it's 5 up, feel no pain, and 2 damage. Yeah, still good. Just it's going to be an unforgiving meta by the looks of things. So it might only be on a couple of percentage points, but I think C is probably correct for them.
Next one is Imperial Knights.
I think you can sit them next to Chaos Knights.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Below them, though.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, but the one below. Like, I want Big Knights to be good. Canis Rex is still good. He has the free strat in there as well. That's pretty nice. But they did fix the assassinate thing that would have meant that he didn't count as triggering assassinate. They changed it back in the errata to model, not unit. Yeah, I think they've got some play there with Big Knights and stuff, but we're once back to stat checking. And the rule of them going over terrain might make it really useful in certain terrain styles. Like, I don't know, UKTC, I think it should benefit them quite a bit. Maybe less so on on GW, because they already could sort of leap over parts of the terrain. I don't think we're seeing them winning any big tournaments anytime soon. So,
what about then? Our next one is Vanilla Marines, which is the Ultramarine Vanilla Space Marines.
Yeah, I'm really liking them. I think that the one that we're probably going to see a lot, well, the two that we're going to see a lot of are Gladius and Raven Guard. So I really like Vanguard. I think Centurions pack a heck of a lot of punch, and then Scepters are still good. There's a lot of Gladius is still the most flexible. So I really rate that. I nearly switched to Gladius myself for Glasshammer. I have ended up going with Firestorm, but it was very, very close in terms of just going, fuck it, we'll play Gladius. So yeah, I think they're going to be really good still. It's difficult because I think they're looking at some of the matchups that they've got in A tier. They're good matchups for them.
Really?
So,
I don't know if I agree as much.
I've never lost the Death Guard matchup. CSM is fine. The only Sisters of Battle I've ever lost to was Vic.
I think we're being outvoted here, Toby. The chat are all going B.
I mean, I'm thinking B. I don't think that there's anything particularly special about them. I think they're going to be your bread and butter you see in tournaments that you regularly beat and sometimes lose to. I don't think they're going to be. I mean, obviously, if you play really well and do really well, like that's going to happen sometime. But I don't think we're going to see them regularly in top cuts or anything like that. I think they're going to be sort of that. I mean, maybe we could push up to bottom of A for the best options of it, but I think that the B is a good sort of ground for it.
I think Grey Knights, Black Templars, Ultramarines.
I think they're better than Grey Knights, to be fair, but I think the Black Templar variant is better than the non-Black Templar variant on
I don't know. I think that Raven Guard detachment is going to be really good. They've got a lot of those key breakpoints of 3 damage. They really don't struggle to kill armor.
Maybe I don't know the list, the specifics. Didn't that get hurt pretty bad, or has it come back a bit?
No. So it got hurt quite bad, and then it started coming back. But Ironstorm was still just too good to pass up. So we saw it at Oxford a little bit. We saw it at a couple of other tournaments, but Ironstorm was just still so dominant that he didn't get a look in. Now, however, I think looking at the changes to Ironstorm, I think it's ready to jump straight in, and I think there's some real potential there. If you're going, that my hot take is that they're
the only worry I have for that is that detachment's very, if it's what I think it is, very focused on being good against ranged armies, and I think some of our top armies are very melee focused.
Yes and no. I think it's, you look at Death Guard. They've got quite a few 48-inch range tanks. Admech are quite
very
shooty.
combaty.
They have Plague Marine blobs, but like that list is also just absolutely tears into Plague Marine blobs, doesn't it? The amount of 2 damage. You fire a blob of Inceptors with the extra bit of AP. With the not the plasma, sorry, the bolters.
I got what you meant.
3 to 18 shots, sustained 2, hitting on 2s because of the strat, AP2, damage 2. If anything's a marine killer, it's that. So they'll tear through CSM and Death Guard. Sisters, I think they'll, and it goes back to that Grey Knights thing as well in terms of the up down. They are so movable, and they're so flexible.
For a Space Marine army, yeah, like definitely.
For a Space Marine army, yeah.
I don't know. I think
if you're going to put them in B, I think they've got to be at the top of B, because I think that they have so many good data sheets.
Oh, Toby, the chat are really against it though.
I mean. I think they've moved on to the next one before we're there. But I think somewhere in that sort of range of B is fine. I don't think we need to worry too much about the left and right, as in like the minutiae, because there's going to be arguments always and different matchups and things. I don't think
I agree.
Definitely not.
I have got something to tell you as well, Sam. Is for some reason this doesn't.
Yeah, World Eaters. I noticed earlier World Eaters aren't on that list because you got it from 9th edition before.
That's right.
World Eaters existed. It's just fine. We'll grab one of the ones.
We'll use White Scars because they have a W. Anyway,
makes sense. I think you've also moved drukhari to the end.
No, they're right.
Well, they're there, but we've moved all the other ones that we're not doing across. But yeah, so let's not forget drukhari. But Votan.
Votan. Right, initial gut on Votan. I think they sit at the top of B.
So looking at the chat, there's people saying B, there's people saying A. I think they did seem to come through this data set without any changes or very minimal changes. I don't remember seeing much points changes for them.
And that new unit came through, and they're only 80 points. And that new unit is the one with Infiltrate, isn't it?
It is, because it's trash apart from Infiltrate.
Yeah, but Infiltrate is a big thing that they were missing before. Totally. They had good Scout, but if you just blocked their Scout, you could really now they have good Scout and an Infiltrate unit, which means they can make a channel to Scout into, which is the one thing I want to do.
Probably 160 points just on crap units immediately.
I mean, you could do one unit, it's fine, because you're only realistically going to get one placement down anyway, because then the opponent will block with the other one.
Yeah, so 80 to 160 points of unit that is really quite poor.
I think 80 points is worth it.
It is, and I think you have to do it. I think you absolutely have to do it. Oh, 100%. I think there's no, like, whatever points they were. I remember I was talking to some of the Devon guys, and I was like, doesn't matter how many points they are, you got to bring them, because it enables the army so much better. I'm shocked that people are saying A tier, considering where they've been.
I think top of B. I think top of B is.
I'd take custodes and marine variants over Votan.
Their biggest predator is still very, very strong, but like we haven't gotten to them yet. 1,000 Suns, but they can't turn off a land fortress's save anymore. So that's quite a big difference for their like worst matchup before, where they would just get demolished by that. So I'm intrigued by how they'll do. I think there's some good potential there. The Infiltrate is good utility.
So we'll go on to the next one. I think top B is. I think it's sounding as well from what chat thinks as well. If we look at Eldari, now Eldari got nerfed again.
So one of the interesting things about Eldari is, yes, they got nerfed, or well, it wasn't very big. But I think they're going to do really well with the new mission pack. I think that their MSU got nerfed, but they have really consistent CP generation, which means that they can probably be cycling their secondaries often, because that's no longer a once per game. I think there's some interesting they've got a lot of action monkeys and mechanics around just getting to the right position. They're not sustainable though, so it's going to be an interesting one of if they've got less MSU, can they still do that role? Well, only really that I have to see on the table really.
What I think is actually going to be really interesting is, but as you mentioned, Sam, they don't have that longevity. Secret missions could be really good against them, and everyone has access to secret missions. So if they go lots of early scoring, but
they don't have much deny. They're more, I score more than you, than I deny you from scoring. So I feel if they're going to hit that 50, you're going to hit 40, and they're going to hit the secondaries hard. So I think it's still 50, A tier, but
A tier.
No. I don't think they were A tier before.
No, they weren't. No, not at all.
I think they're A tier.
No, definitely not. 125 points for warp spiders.
I'm happy to be.
I mean, I'd still take that.
I still take
for warp spiders is still worth it. One of the funny changes in there was you can have Dark Reapers in 10-man squads now.
That's quite fun. I like that.
They also got nerfed because the indirect got nerfed. But
oh yeah, no,
it's just a funny little thing of just why did they make that change? I guess they just want bigger units.
Have you guys seen the chat? Some of the chat are saying they think A tier, but you guys think in B.
Well, I think the secondaries play. They will score so well is what this isn't Leviathan anymore. This is, and that's a very good point that is it Darren's put in there. They do gain from the indirect. They lose the support platforms from doing it, but when you have squishy MSU, if you come across an indirect force, you just lose. So they do benefit from that at least.
I think it's going to score really easy.
I really don't think so anymore.
I think in a world where scoring is going to be more difficult, because it is, secondaries are going to be much more difficult. Then I think that they could come out in a good way. I just worry about how much MSU they can do still, because they did
Okay, let's do as a compromise then.
Let's just put it bottom of A. We don't have very much up there, so I feel like we're going to get more.
I'd be really, really shocked if they do end up in A tier.
So Necrons, I still think are A tier.
Yep. Yeah. They got changes. They lost some units, but
I think they sit here.
I think the build's going to change away from Wraiths. I don't think we're going to see loads of Wraiths anymore, because they're not good scorers. They're not good at doing the job that this mission pack really needs.
No.
So I think, and they went up in points. So I don't think we'll be seeing them, but they've still got very strong lists.
I think you'll see a couple token units. I think you'll see some token. So Ditz is saying B tier. Let's just ask him in chat, guys. Why? Give us some reasons.
B for Necrons.
That's
I don't see that.
I don't know. I would have thought that.
It's one of those things where, once again, they've got good rules. So
they've got good rules. They've got a solid battle line unit.
They deal so much damage in shooting as well. If you take the right units, they could just,
especially in the infantry world, right? They've got some really those destroyers shred through infantry.
Yeah, they've got some really.
I think Annihilation will be really good.
Yeah.
Annihilation Legion. I think that's
people
were
talking about Annihilation. I think Hypercrypt is still strong. You're not going to see people 3-inch deep striking Catans, but 9 inches away, I guess, with them. You can still deep strike them. You just can't go 3 inches away. I don't see the
drama.
Shorts and nerf, but
I think
deep strike something else.
I think A, but they will. I think they're better than Admech. I think A is a good place for them.
Yeah, I like them in A. I think that we'll still see them, maybe not quite as popular as they've been, but they were like first or second most popular at every event for the last like 6 months. So they will drop from that, but I think we'll still see them quite regularly and doing reasonably well.
So the next we've got up is orcs. Now orcs had a bit of a nerf, but they're still super good.
I don't know. There was a lot of nerf. I
think they're still good. I think they're still good.
We're not seeing 18 or 16 or anything like that anymore. The Green Tide lost their invulnerable save to be as consistent, where it's just like, oh, we're always counting as warring. Now it's like, once we lose some models and or don't start over 20, and they've lost the reroll ones and the saves as well. Their consistency, their survivability drastically dropped because they only get the one war as well.
So where are you thinking they go then?
I think they're in B.
Yeah,
I think everyone
the B.
I think put them below. I think in the middle somewhere, like around Black Templars, because the main thing for me is everyone expected them to come out and just dominate the meta. Like when we first saw them come out, we were like, oh my god, bully boys are gonna literally bully the meta, and they didn't really do that well. Like you saw them doing well, they was getting a lot of like podiums in the odd event, but they didn't dominate the meta like completely, and they've been hit hard. So
I just think the one turn of war is just not good enough. They don't have the critical mass to do enough turns of warring now. And bully boys, that you look at some of the other detachments, they're just poor. So I really don't rate orcs right now.
I think there's a lot of potential in there for future things if they like change the if like they make some points changes in the future. I think some of the rules are fine, they just don't quite hit the mark enough. But I think B is a good place for them because they've not been destroyed into obscurity. We'll still see them.
Definitely.
So this next army, I think right near the top end.
It's comfortably an S.
I think so.
I think it seems to be the one that people are going, oh, okay, sit up and take notice of them. It's a good matchup. It's a really good matchup for Marines, but I'm still a little bit worried about it now. I think demons are looking very, very tasty.
So I don't think they're S personally, but that's just because I played as demons. So like thinking they were really good and then just got demolished over and over. But that's more on me than demons. To be fair, it was like almost a year ago.
So Toby, why do you think they're S tier?
Yeah.
So I think the major benefits to Shadows in the Warp. Not Shadows in the Warp. Sorry. To the Shadow of Chaos ability, whatever it's called.
So the Greater Demon effect.
Yeah. So the Greater Demons are now just always in the shadow.
I think Fate Weaver's amazing now because of the Vect ability. You throw Fate Weaver at the opponent's army and they just can't strat properly anymore.
And how do you effectively deal with Kairos when you've also got not so much Bellical because he's not really the damage dealer. He'll still be in the lists, but
I think it's going to be less so now that you don't need him for the shadow effect.
Oh,
the low knot part, but to do the shenanigans of 3-inch deep strike and then 6-inch deep, Bloodthirsters will do the role to get those blood crushers in very, very well.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. To be fair, I think they also got a bit of benefit in terms of overhang. In terms of going through walls,
being able to get through stuff now.
The pivot rule isn't ideal for blood crushers and things like that.
It's not ideal for blood crushers, but I don't think that's going to come up so much, to be perfectly honest.
They're going to teleport anyway. So.
Exactly. So, and that's what they're going to do. Let's be honest. I think demons are looking really sick. There's some mono Khorne lists I've heard about.
I think Khorne is going to be the strong one. I think, a bit of mix, but the majority you're going to see in most lists, like at least 50% in most lists, will be Khorne.
I'm very excited for that because my entire 9th army was all Khorne.
I mean, I love corn.
No, I know shit, but yeah, I think there's some really cool stuff in there for them. Super excited for Demons players because I think, to be honest, they have really struggled for most of 10th. And I think it's been a bit of an unfair one. It's a little bit weird for us because we're saying that, but then because we have 3 of the best Demon players in the world in our region, obviously Demons do tend to do really well still. But that they've really struggled. And I think, looking at, but now that like one of their major predators in Ironstorm is probably dead, when
they
maybe
do
not dead,
suffer from the nurgling action problem. So they're gonna have to. The way they're gonna probably swap over to blues and like blue horrors and stuff like that. Like they've
got a big enough roster.
See the list change a bit, but I think they've got the plague bearers, great little objective holders. Annoyingly difficult to shift as chaff units go. I can't remember how many points they are, but I think they also stick objectives, so they're I think very useful.
Okay, what about them? We'll carry on. Space Wolves.
We lost Toby.
I think
Space Wolves, I think, are still quite good. I think they're one of the better Space Marine variants at the moment. The champions, if we're talking specifically the Champions of Rust detachment, that had quite a glow up with the change. I still don't think it's better than taking Stormlance, but we'll see. We're not going to see any Wolfen anymore. They went up in points and they're OC0, so
did we go into Space
jail? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, right. Yeah, I love the Stormlance list. With that and Sons of Sanguinius, they were the 2 best performing Marines list just before the change.
I mean, I think Space Wolves had the highest win rate.
Yeah.
So are we going A tier?
They're in A, definitely. In my opinion. I might put them above Necrons.
It's a bit skewed because I don't think they're as good in the UK as they are in the US. They seem to really dominate in the US, but in the UK they don't seem to do as well. Maybe something to do with the UKTC terrain.
I don't know how well Space Wolves do into like custodes though and armies like that.
I think they've got quite a nice matchup because they're shoving them onto their invulnerables. They've got
but then when a cody's
a lot of bodies just to run into you and
there's a lot of wounds that the custodians have got to chew through, and I don't think they can. There's just too many of them. And while you're dealing with the number of wolves in your face, you just can't.
Yeah, it's the classic. Let's trap my opponent in their deployment zone and score while they're chewing through my units there. So they're not going to necessarily table their opponents with that, but they're going to hold them up long enough that they're low. And maybe secret missions might come in to catch that up. But I think that it's going to be. I think they're still quite a strong list, just throwing Thunderwolf cavalry at your opponent.
Totally. I really like it. I think and the fact that they can just go, cool, I'm now -1 to wound, is going to really get a lot of people. But yeah, and also that's not that. I don't know if that was free before, but if you've got your Wolf Lord in there, it's free.
So this one I'm really unsure about. I'm not convinced, but I think the reason I'm not convinced is because I think the way the meta is shifting. I'm not 100% on them.
So let me add in another thing: is Bjorn Dreadnought with Vect. And he just runs he will just run straight up the center board. He doesn't do that much. He's not going to be like killing your army, but he's going to be a very annoying thing for you to try and contest the mid board with, especially against melee focused armies that have to kill him in combat. He's going to be a massive pain in people's backs. Because he's the old Dreadnought. It's like,
he's literally a tiny little Dreadnought. He's really difficult to go. You can hide him really easily. He's no slouch in combat either. I think he's got like a 4 damage claw or something like that. I might have made that up. But I can't remember now. I'm gonna have to.
It's not bad, but he's also minus. Is it -1 damage or half? No, it's half damage, I think. So he's not easy to shift.
He's a 5-up feel no pain, half the damage characteristic, and Vect. So run him in.
He's going to be seen in every Space Wolf list.
Space
Wolf players love Bjorn, like, you know.
Having a good read of him, like, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit erect right now.
We've made it this far, Toby.
Like, you look at the Hellfrost cannon as well. Like, you've either got the Torrent option as the rejection for charging a 2 damage flamer, or you've got a 5 damage single shot at strength 9, which is probably with -3, which is quite nice into the Nid beasts. So I really like Bjorn. 180 points is spenny. It's only 30 points.
In every list, though.
I think you're right.
He's going to be right there in the center.
Yeah.
All right. We'll keep him at bottom of A. But I'm unconvinced. But we'll see what the matter happens. The next one we've got is Tau. Tau. Now, Tau
got a lot of points drops for the bounces, didn't they?
And then no longer is their biggest weakness now just auto. It's not like
you can't just go bring it down and
yes, Kroot are in the bin though.
Kroot are in the bin.
Kroot.
They are really poo.
I think right. There's probably some decent lists in there, but we're not talking about anything special.
No, I think they're good.
I wouldn't put them that high.
No, they're solid B.
Put them down with Marines and Grey Knights.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer Marines there, but obviously I'm saying that as a Marine player, so I would do. But yeah,
Marines are above them. So
yeah, solid B tier.
What about Tyranids?
Now, Tyranids, I think, are going to perform better than most people expected. Because I think they've got I think they need to have a rethink about the way they play, because obviously previously it was like gargoyles and biovore and stuff like that. But they still have decent fixed play with biovores and rippers and like odd things to just do, like engage and something else. But what I said about Bjorn also applies to the Swarmlord. He's a bit more spenny, but he also gains a CP as well as doing the Vect, which means he just runs up the middle and he just goes, and my army's got CP for changing secondaries and
go on,
not an easy thing to shift. Yeah, exactly. So depending on terrain and how easy it is for him to get around while staying hidden. He's also, I think, got extra range on his synapse, if memory serves me rightly. And synapse just got better.
I think there is, right, with Tyrant Guard or something like that.
I think Tyrant Guard go in the unit, and I don't know if it lone ops anything, but I'd be shocked if you can lone op him. That would be insane.
I might be talking complete bollocks there, but I think there is something with the Tyrant Guard or something like that that does.
5 Tyrants with 3 strats, really good. The extra strength all over the board. Exocrine, really good thing already, has an extra strength now. All of the combat, extra strength. They were really struggling with the high toughness stuff, and it will help. It's not huge, we're not talking about like suddenly being strength 12 in places they were strength 8 before, but it will help them a lot, I think.
Strength 9 to strength 10 is big. Like,
are
as
we
a
thinking B tier?
I think that they could be A, but that's me pushing it. I don't know. I don't think the way Tyranid players currently play is C tier, I think. But I think that with the new, they've got a lot more potential in there to do some cool things, and they're going to be good at scoring. Even
so,
though
we're going to say top of B.
I'm happy putting them there.
Okay.
Sure.
Thousand Suns, big changes happen. Thousand Suns, big changes happen. Thousand
Still
Suns.
hate them.
It's not big. It's like superficially big changes. It's like it looks big, but it isn't really. Like I think S tier. Like
still -4.
Like -4 is like, oh yeah, if you get cover, it's suddenly a 2-up save. Oh, I get a 5-up. Oh, wait a second, they ignore cover with all their flamers that are AP2. Like it's it's they've got so much ignore cover. So even AP4 is 6 ups. I think.
Well, are they nerfed by the indirect though?
No.
Slightly. Like they can get it cheaper now. They don't have to spend 2 CP on it. They can spend 1.
Yeah. Like
has
they're
Doombolt
good.
changed though? Can they still
Doombolt can't
They
hit
can't.
low nops.
I
but
feel like that's
The
so
low nop strat
niche.
stuff can still be hit.
Yeah.
So, and they still have double move just to throw something in and Doombolt it if it is actually a low nop. But
So
nothing
they're-
that important that you want to Doombolt is actually a low nop.
They're no
So-
longer playing 11th edition. Like I think that's Corbyn always used to describe it that they were a 10th edition army playing 11th
Yeah.
edition, and they're not doing that anymore. They've been brought back to playing the game properly, but I still think they're
They
bloody
still have,
awesome.
yeah,
They've got
they can still
play.
double move everywhere, but they can't triple move. So they can't
No.
basically they can't do the most egregious stuff.
Exactly.
Everything's come a bit more in line, but they're still strong. Mutilated Vortex Beast for some reason went down.
I didn't rate it, to be honest. Like whenever I played it, it always felt like, and I do think the best Thousand Suns lists didn't seem to take it, but
Well,
I think that-
Alex, who's in chat, that said Easy S tier is one of the best Thousand Suns players in the country, and he used 2.
Well, I mean, Paul always used to say that the answer was none, and he was the best
different
Thousand Suns
people.
player in the country.
Ooh,
Just on rank.
They're fighting over it. But
I don't know if he still is though. Who knows? We
they're
won't
not
get
S
on.
tier.
We're not gonna get into that. I think
They're not S tier though.
They were
There's
S tier
no-
before, and everything else got worse. And
Well,
they
yeah, but
basically
you
got a
you
side
look at that.
change.
You look at that fireside chat where it was sure they're S tier in teams, but you would never take them outside of teams according to the top players.
I don't listen to them.
Sure,
I think you're gonna see them everywhere still at the top tables.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
I think you still will see them at top tables. I think
when was the last time they won a tournament?
let's put it. It's not about necessarily winning tournaments. It's about
When was the
how
last time
high
they were
they
in
play.
a round of a tournament?
Go on, Toby. Go and find me all the statistics of the last time they were in shadow round. Go on there right now. Find every single one, and then come back to me in a few minutes' time.
Right. So next
Anyway.
is World Eaters, right?
World Eaters is next. Yeah, well, because that's going to keep
So-
Toby busy for a while.
It's not looking good for me immediately.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, World Eaters, they got basically 0 changes. They 8-bound all came down by 5 points per unit, 5 points for 3 models. So that sounds great. 8-bound got cheaper because they're the great things that everyone's using. But I don't think it really changed it. Now, like we've seen some of the other factions, not changing in this last data slate is probably a good thing. Most things went down. Not having to worry about orcs is pretty good. And I don't know what it's gonna be like against new sisters. We were good into the old sisters, I found. So I like World Eaters where they're at. I don't think they're I hesitate to put them too high because I think they're still a very hard army to play.
I think they're there.
Yeah, but the problem is, right, you see that Blood Angels and Thousand Suns at the top? They destroy World Eaters. Like, it is just an unfair matchup. It's not.
But then you
unwinnable,
can say that with like some of these B armies going into some of the A armies.
Yeah, I mean, I like my games into a lot of those armies. But yeah, I just can't take.
I think middle of
Blood
A,
Angels and Thousand Suns
because they have been winning tournaments. They've been doing very well.
Yeah, we've had a couple. I don't think we had a win super recently. But we've had a lot of like high placements happening. I'm seeing it pop up on the Meta Mondays and stuff, which is great to see. Rarely UKTC, but we did have one Bristol. The guy I think came 4th. He went into the shadow round, which I think is the first time we've had a World Eater in 10th edition hitting a shadow round of a UKTC event. As much as I've tried, I don't count him. he put Exalted 8-bound in Rhinos. Doesn't count. Not a World Eater player.
Put Exalted Rhinos in
hot take here. Not a World Eater player.
Moving on.
They've chosen not to claim him. Okay.
We've got the very, very last army we're going to do tonight, and this has been a bit of a marathon for a podcast. So thank you all if you've watched all the way, or you're going to watch it back. Thank you for watching it, and it is drukhari.
We haven't done drukhari. Yeah,
it is drukhari. Where are drukhari going to go? No, I'm joking. I'm not going to do that to them. Drukhari are solid if played by the right person.
It's nice that they have two detachments. I think both are playable.
Yeah.
I think the faction specialists is the way to go. Like, it's a very hard army to play and get familiar with. It's very glass cannon, very made of paper. Are
we thinking?
I think the indirect nerf helped them quite a bit, and I think they'll play well into the new mission pack. I think they're somewhere in B though, because they're still tough to win with.
Whereabouts?
They don't have easy games. It's hard fought every time, I think.
Yeah, it's gutting that they also had the Scourges go up in points, but they are probably one of the major beneficiaries of the two most abusable rules, in terms of now that the Archon can technically do the 36-inch deny Vect range plus, which I guess is kind of fitting considering Vect is what, a drukhari, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a shame he doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Maybe they just put.
At one point, I used Vect.
A 36-inch.
Yeah.
And then obviously pivoting with their raiders is extremely good. So I think they've got two of the most abusable rules there. So I think
having
that would be good to see.
If Archons, if it does end up working out the way that every Archon has the Vect rule, even if then it's not just the Warlord anymore, then you're going to see 2 or 3 Archons in every list, because that's just going to be so good, just running into the middle of the field. Like I say, the indirect's gone, so you're hiding into the center of ruin and just going, come and stand on these objectives. I'm just going to kill you when you do.
And they're getting fights first.
The fights first is also very good into this meta. I think we got a lot of. I feel like most armies are either hybrid armies or we've got some combat armies. The main just shooting armies seem to be lower down, which is weird because I think 10th edition is very shooting focused, but maybe the balance has shifted on that now. We're getting more into the combat meta, but I think hybrid is still very popular.
Yeah. I agree.
I think hybrid's the way to go.
So are we thinking drukhari bottom of B?
I'd say B.
I think they could come up to middle of B, but I think they sit quite solidly in B.
Yeah, I think that they are such a faction specialist army though, that like you'll either see them in S or you'll see them in BC.
Well, you'll see Skari win some events here or there, and all of the other drukhari players be like, God damn it, we're not going to get the buffs we want because of him or something. But generally, I don't think it's an easy time for drukhari players.
So that marks it, guys. We have done our tier review. Now, before we close the doors and we move back into the other room, is there any that your gut tells you need to be moved?
I don't know. I'm still not entirely sure about the Death Guard, but just because of the current way that you play Death Guard got quite a bit worse.
And I think we've also got to bear in mind is they're very slow.
Yeah, in a mission pack where Nurglings no longer score actions.
So I think maybe they do come down here because they are so slow. What do we think?
I mean, I don't agree because of their rhinos, giving them that speed.
They're still just rhinos, though.
No, I know they're still just rhinos. But
maybe
the amount of fight first, the amount of
bottom of A or top of B.
I'm just thinking what we have down there: votan, tyranids, custodes. I do think it's fine there, really, or on the other side. I think we're from this is as close as I think I could do it. as a list, but who knows? We might have it completely flipped in a month's time.
And this is the point we've all been trying to make. Like, we're the big amount of data is going to come from this weekend, when both myself, Sam, and Toby will all be at the Glasshammer tournament. We're really fortunate. We're taking 17 of our crows up to Birmingham to go play that tournament. Again, a massive attendance from Black Crow supporting Birmingham because it is up the road for some of us. But we'll all be there. If you're there, come say hello to us. Come say hi. Toby loves it. It makes him feel really happy inside.
Come give Toby birthday beats.
Yeah, you can feel free to rub his belly.
No, absolutely don't do that.
Especially Sunday morning when he's hungover.
No, anyone touches my stomach, I will have to request that Dan lets me punch them. So no.
Just get really friendly with Dan first, and then.
Oh, right. Dan, love Dan. Dan's a good boy. But yes, no touching unless you ask first, please.
Just
it costs extra.
Anyway,
no, don't touch unless you ask first.
I mean, that's a rule for always.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm just
being
because
a human rule.
I'm now also worrying because people do see me getting my ass slapped quite a lot at these tournaments. Come and ask first before you touch, for the love of God.
You know what, Toby? Sometimes, mate, you're just a glutton for punishment. Anyway, on that bombshell, we have done a tier review, and we've managed to do it without it breaking, without something busted, apart from Toby when he keeps vanishing every now and then, but we're just going to blame his prehistoric internet.
Norfolk internet. Gotta love it.
Norfolk internet. He's he's now happy because we're ending the podcast so he can then start to
go build a predator.
FYI, by the way, please don't touch Toby unless he asks you to touch Toby. So don't just go rub his belly. That's not okay.
Yeah, please. I know we make a lot of jokes. Please don't actually just come up and randomly touch me. I will not thank you for it. I can't believe I'm having to actually say that.
I think we've hit that home. I'd like to think that everyone knew that beforehand, but it's spelled out.
The fact that we need to clarify it.
You never know, honestly. The nonsense that goes on at these kinds of things.
I mean, you do encourage some nonsense when it comes to.
Of course, I encourage some nonsense, and that's because some nonsense is very, very important to having a good time on the weekend. But yes, it needs to be somewhat controlled nonsense.
Controlled nonsense. Look, guys, we're going to come to the end of it. It's getting late, but we want to say a massive thank you from Black Crow Gaming. Myself and Toby and Sam have enjoyed having you along the ride. No worries. Thank you, Sam, for joining us for our tier review of the new meta. This is not an exhaustive. This could change. This could fluctuate, and maybe we will revisit this in a month or so time, and we can see
how wrong we were.
See how wrong we were. I don't think we're too far off, but only time will tell. Like I said, we've got our two wonderful sponsors. Please hit them up. That's Glasshammer. Pop into Black Crow Gaming. Get your 5% off. It's over here, down there. I don't know. Toby, you do it. And then we've also got Terrain Forge. Pop in BCG5 and you get another 5% off their wonderful custom terrain, which is what has been given to us for our battle reports. We are coming to the end of the podcast. I've been Arron.
I've been waiting to build a predator.
And I have a cat.
And Sam has a cat. And on that bombshell, good night, everybody.
Cheers, guys.